or welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, my sweetness, my lovey-dovey. How's my big guy?
I do pre-apologize. I have this like weird cough thing going on. Hey, whatever. But we were talking previously.
COVID.
God, please don't.
I can't. Can I catch it from you over the phone? I hope not.
No, it's fine. Everything is fine. It was okay.
There have been times that when your brothers and sisters, were in Israel or something, and they called me, and I had a cold, and they had a cold. I said, "Come on, I'm sure I didn't catch it from you. You're in Israel," but it was hysterical how it worked at the same time. When they were sick, I was sick.
Yeah. That's so weird. So I have
happy Hanukkah, by the way.
Happy Hanukkah to you too.
My little sweetness, yeah.
So I asked you what was your favorite movie quote, and you're about to tell it to me until we started getting on the air.
Let's go on with let's go over some of the questions we already did, which I thought were pretty funny.
Oh, what did you think was the biggest mistake in your life, but you realized it was totally fine?
I told you, giving birth to you.
You're so funny. Oh my God, you're like the funniest person out there. It is hilarious. Goodness me.
What was it? Remember, what was it? Family Matters. Remember Steve Urkel? He was telling his neighbors that his parents went away for their second honeymoon, and I think his mother went to Baltimore, his father went to Chicago, and so his neighbor says to him, "Wait a minute, I don't understand. Your parents went away on their second honeymoon. Well, how come one went to Baltimore and one went to Chicago?" And so Steve Urkel said to them, because on their last honeymoon they had a horrible, irrevocable tragedy. And his neighbor said, "What?" He goes, "Me."
Oh. What's the worst famous dish someone brings to all the holiday dinners?
Well, I'm trying to think. Holiday dinners, we don't, but what real, I mean, because this is, I'll tell you the truth, as far as we Jews are concerned, I mean, okay, some Jews keep, there are many Jews that keep Thanksgiving, but what holidays do we have that actually people really come and pitch in? Usually by us, whenever we have a Yom Tov, like one person does all the cooking.
Yeah.
And, it's not one of the things where, people come and really bring things.
I guess. It wasn't a good question.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of all the Yom Tov dinners, of Yom Tov, Yom Tov, and we've had what was the lousiest dish? Trying to think.
Fruitcake.
We just don't do fruitcake.
No, I've had fruitcake though. I remember Tati would always do this thing where he would go ahead and, like, the day after the holiday, like whether it be the day after Halloween or the day after Xmas, everything would go on sale. So he'd buy all the stuff up that would be kosher, that'd be going on sale. And one of them was fruitcake. And I actually remember on a different note that there was this like Israeli company that made this fruitcake, and I had some fruitcake. It was interesting.
I remember as a kid, my parents bought fruitcake. I never liked it.
Yeah.
There was something about the little pieces of the dried fruit in cake that I just did not like it. I didn't see I couldn't understand why people made such a big deal out of it.
What
I did not like it.
What Hanukkah memories do you have when you were a kid?
Hanukkah memories. Trying to think. Hanukkah memories when I was a kid. I hate to say it. The Hanukkah memory I have is not happy.
Oh, why? Was it father getting angry, something smashing on the floor?
No, it was my mother got angry about something. I don't know what it was. And she refused to have us light the Hanukkah candles. She got really mad about something. And it was really sad. She said, my mother said, over my dead body, you'll like those Hanukkah candles. And she stormed out of the house. And we all went ahead and lit the Hanukkah candles. And she came back and saw that we lit them despite her.
Wow.
We were talking about one time, like evidently I was reading, and remember I was in college. I was reading an article about a sociological study that was done on people from Slavic, East European backgrounds. And they said that one of the problems that these sociologists had, they were working mostly with children, was that when people of these backgrounds have a tendency to go into depressions, that they go into these really, really heavy depressions. I mean, they really fall very hard. Mm-hmm. Evidently, they said that particular ethnic group, which is our ethnic group, East European, Jews. And these weren't Jewish. Well, these were like, it was general population, not necessarily Jewish, but a general population. And they said that in general, that depression can hit very hard in that particular ethnic group. And I guess my mother, I think, was fighting depression. But in those days, people didn't talk about these things. People didn't really go out of their way to get help.
Yeah.
They just tried to hide it.
Well, just to again go back to holidays. What about any favorite foods that you had during Hanukkah? Did you guys make sufganiyot? Did you guys go ahead and make latkes?
No, we did not.
Really?
Oh, latkes we didn't make. I'm trying to think. Did my mother make latkes? Gosh, I don't remember my mother making latkes. No.
Interesting.
No, I don't remember or sufga. Well, in those days, Ashkenazic Jews in general, there was a Ashkenazic and Sephardim. You're talking like during the 1950s, early 60s. There was not a lot of cultural exchange between Ashkenazim and Sephardim until about the 1970s. And so I never heard of sufganiyot. I never knew what they were.
Wow.
I had no idea. I remember Purim Hamantash. I remember very well, but I don't remember sufganiyot. I don't remember latkes. I guess you could get them frozen or something. But I don't remember my mother making potato latkes. No, I don't.
Did you guys ever have any Hanukkah parties when you were a kid?
We had Hanukkah parties in Hebrew school where, this is really irritating, we used to exchange gifts. Uh-huh. And I think we went into that one time about, your father and I were reminiscing about how we always got the booby prize. I mean, we would, our parent, like my mother would go up and usually get like nice stationery for the Hanukkah gifts. And I would come home with, they would wrap them up so you couldn't tell what they were. And you would just put your hand in and they put them in a big pile. Yeah. And the kids would just pick them out. And I never got anything really good. I got like a cheap, like balls and jacks. I hated getting balls and jacks because I couldn't play the game. I had very poor eye-hand coordination.
For the From community guys, that's called Kugelach.
And I could not play balls and jacks. Your father also said he never came home with anything nice, and he said one time his sister was so upset that somebody just brought a bar of soap.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible.
But I remember in the in the early 60s, there was an article, I think it was in Life magazine, one of the magazines, about the horrible discrimination that the Sephardic Jews were facing in Israel at the time. And there was some real discrimination that was going on socially and job-wise. Up until say like the 1970s or so. I have a friend who married, she's a regular Pikesville, Ashkenazic Jewish girl who married a Sephardic young man, but they're not so young anymore, they're my age bracket. But this was in the 1970s. And when she went to Israel to visit his family, so he could introduce her to the family as the girl he's going to marry, there was one of the neighbors was one of their Sephardic neighbors was very upset and told his parents that she felt it was her duty to try to break them up, to try to break up her and her, chassan.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier on previous podcasts about German and Russian Jews, how families would sit shiva if their kid went ahead and married a German or Russian Jew, one way or the other. Wow, there was a lot of discrimination back in the day. What like Hanukkah gift would you say was like the best Hanukkah gift you had?
Well, when I was a kid, the custom was not to give among families. I mean, we exchanged gifts in Hebrew school, but the real custom was to give Hanukkah gelt.
Interesting.
Most Jewish kids did not get Hanukkah presents like toys and things like that. That was goyish. That was for the Christians for Christmas. The Jewish families gave Hanukkah gelt, and I remember that when I got money, when I get Hanukkah gelt, my parents would take our Hanukkah gelt, and we weren't allowed to even touch it. They would show it to us, and they would put it in our bank accounts, and which in a way was really good because when we all graduated, either high school or college, and I needed to buy a car when I graduated college, and I had the money right there in the bank. In fact, I paid in cash. I paid for my first car. The first car was $2,000.
Oh wow!
It only had 10,000 miles on it. It was a little blue. What was that? I think a Citation was it? I'm trying to think. Was it a Maverick? I think it might have been a Maverick. Yeah, it was a Maverick, and it was a little blue Maverick. Only $2,000 with 10,000 miles on it. And
that's
I paid
a nice car.
Yeah, and I paid with a bank check. I didn't even have to finance or anything. I just paid
it's like a really beautiful car.
It was nice. It was a lot of
Any good memories?
It was nice. Of my Oh, you bet, man. Oh, my Maverick. Yeah, driving down the highway in my blue Maverick. Oh, yes.
I'm looking at blue Mavericks right now. They're gorgeous. They're just beautiful cars.
When I went, it's a small car. And I went to, in fact, when I moved to New York to Crown Heights, I was one of the few people at Mechon Chana who owned a car. In fact, I think I was the only one that owned a car. There was another girl who owned a car. There was one girl from Nevada. This girl from Nevada, who she had this little sports car with a license plate on it that said "Kosher Pig."
Oh God!
On her license plate. And whenever we did Mifsaim, when people needed to do Mifsaim, or they would always ask me that I would always lend out my car to people to do Mifsaim, or I would drive, or I would give them the keys. And like I said, we used to call it mitzvah miles, putting mitzvah miles on your car. Well, there was this one girl, when I lended her my car, I said to her, listen, when you come back tonight, I don't want you to hand me a piece of iron pipe and say, here's your car. Make sure I get it back in one piece. So that night she came back. I was in the dormitory at Mechon Chana. She comes back and she calls me. She's at the bottom of the steps. She calls me and she's holding a pipe in her hand. And I cracked up laughing. I thought she was joking. No, while she was driving the car from Mipsoim, the car broke down. She was able to at least get it to a service station. They found that evidently one of the hoses broke.
Oh, wow.
On it. It was okay though. They replaced the hose. She paid for it. And so she was holding the broken hose to show me what happened.
Oh God, that's funny. Oh, that's hilarious. I love it.
But that's why when you kids got, money for as far as presents were concerned. By the way, it's so much easier now. People get Amazon gift cards. They get Target gift cards. It's wonderful. You can go to Target, go to Amazon, get something you want. But whenever you kids would get money as gifts, I always would give you a part of it to spend. I mean, part I put in the bank and part I gave it to you to spend because I figured, it's Yom Tov, you should have a little pleasure from it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I liked saving up all my money and then using it to spend it on bills when I got older. I mean, that's really what I did. And it was worth it, though. It was worth it because it was like I needed that time I was going through. I needed that time to be able to collect myself as I was paying bills. I was using my bar mitzvah money and things like that. And that's how I paid a lot of bills as I got older. And it's funny because like everyone was telling me when I was younger that save up your money because then you could use that money as a down payment for a house. It just so happened that I got a grant to spend on the down payment for the house anyways. So it just so happened that it kind of all worked out, a shaka practice wise. But digressing on to Hanukkah, what would you say is your favorite tradition in Hanukkah?
Favorite tradition in Hanukkah? Chocolate coins. Chocolate coins. Yes, chocolate.
Did you know actually that
chocolate's my favorite?
Chocolate coins are also given on Xmas in the United Kingdom?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing that they get chocolate coins for Xmas.
So were chocolate coins originally a Jewish custom, or they were originally a non-Jewish British custom?
I don't know. Well,
Google it.
Chocolate coins. Well, I do chocolate coins, and all I get is for Hanukkah. I get tons of stuff for Hanukkah coins. I don't see anything else. Gelt. Yeah, it seems like Hanukkah gelt, the chocolate gelt, is something that is pretty common for. It seems like that's something more for Hanukkah, but it seems like, I guess, for the UK they do it for Christmas. I don't really know. Whatever.
And before we went on the program, you were going through the series of questions to ask me. Some of them were pretty funny. Like you said something about being romantic. I couldn't understand that question about being romantic. What was that question again about being romantic?
No, I was saying the question was, what do you think is romanticized today that should not be romanticized?
Oh, you're not going to like the answer.
Try me.
There's a lot of people out there I think going to be very offended, not like this answer, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Sure.
Out of wedlock sex. I'm sorry. I think it's
totally true. Lock it up. Lock it up. Throw away the key. Lock it up. It's just.
I'm sorry. I think having sex outside of marriage is a one-way ticket to disaster.
It's just the worst. Absolutely the worst. I'm telling you. Just the thought of it just makes me queasy.
You want it? Very funny. You want to hear about friends of mine in college that were sexually active?
This was the 1970s where no one used rubbers. Like, I'm pretty sure that
people believe me, people have been using condoms for a long time.
Since 1935.
And you know something before that in history, people used sheep bladder. So anyway, what can I tell you? I saw broken hearts. I saw girls who fell in love with guys only to discover that they were being used for cheap sex. I saw unwanted pregnancies. I saw lots of venereal diseases. And who knows how many of those people even picked up AIDS, because AIDS at that time was not diagnosed.
I love the fact that we went from Hanukkah and beautiful memories talking about AIDS. This is the podcast that you're looking for. If you're looking for these kind of things, believe me, come on down and listen to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Oh gosh.
This is a unscripted how can I say reality show.
Sure, let's go with that.
This is unscripted. It's unlike some reality shows that you see on television, which you find out later were really scripted.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this question, but when did you realize that you need to cut off a friend from your life? Have I ever asked you that question? I feel like I have.
You never asked me that question.
No? Okay.
You never asked, but I never, actually, I've never done that.
Yes, we did this question similar to things where it's like, it's like when there's children involved and you're trying to cut them off from bad influences. We talked about that. We never talked about you personally, but you said to yourself you didn't do it.
Yeah, I never did that with my kids. I never did that with myself either. Quite honestly, I was not the type of person that had a lot of friends. And so when anybody would be a friend, when anybody would befriend me, I was so grateful. Really, I never had a lot of friends. And I was very, very grateful for the few friends I had.
What did you guys do when you hung out with your friends? What would you guys do?
Hang out with my walk up to Reisterstown Plaza, walk up there and shop. A lot of, lips, what girls buy, perfume, lipstick, little things, just walk around from shop to shop. We would go to some of the restaurants there at Reisterstown Plaza and, like order, order tea and more tea and more tea and more tea. Or we would, if we didn't have much money, we would like order like some cheap stuff and then split it among us. And how can I say, I remember in college, friends of mine and I basically walking around downtown. In those days, museums were free. And we would take in like Walter's Art Gallery.
Well, that's free. That's still free.
Walter's Art Gallery is free. For a while they were charging. Oh, okay. We did, a lot of museums. Hiking was, I always loved hiking. My friends and I would always like go to the woods and hike. Before Green Spring, the area in Green Spring, like way down, before it was all built up, we would go down Green Spring towards like Falls Road, whatever, and the stream there was actually, the water there was clean. You could actually drink it from the stream because it flowed through rocks that were around there. And so after flowing through rocks, it was filtered basically. And my friends and I, we went down there and we were stream hiking and drinking some of the water.
Oh, wow.
I asked my father about it afterwards when, because I was a little concerned. We drank the water. And I told him where it was located. He goes, oh yeah, that. He goes, yeah, it's okay. It's safe to drink that water.
That's rare because nowadays you don't drink anything. I mean, you can go ahead and you can get filters. You can go to REI and you could buy filters and whatnot. Okay. I think that's
so. Anyway, but I tell you the truth. I think what's nice to see is when I was a kid, Hanukkah. How can I say it? Hanukkah was kind of like almost unrecognized, and now I'm telling you, Hanukkah in general, and I think mostly, I think thanks to Chabad, to the song that they do on Hanukkah, I think it's Hanukkah is much more out there. And you have, I think, more Jews that are, I'd say, going out of their way to really celebrate Hanukkah the way it's supposed to be celebrated, like, really as an enjoyable holiday. Rabbi Bogomilsky, the one who wrote V'dibar Tabam, was my first landlord in New York. I rented his basement apartment. Mm-hmm. And he told me and my roommate and some of the girls who come up for Shabbos, a story around Hanukkah time about this man this Jewish man he met, and he offered him a Hanukkah menorah. And the man came back to him later and told him, he said that in his house, they never really celebrated Hanukkah. Even though they were Jewish, his wife was Jewish, he was Jewish, the kids are all Jewish. They always had a Christmas tree every year. Mm-hmm. So he brought him the Hanukkah menorah, and they started, and the dreidels. He started every night lighting the menorah and playing with the dreidels, and he bought them some, chocolate coins, he bought them some presents. And so one of his kids one day said to him during the middle of Hanukkah, Dad, if we're Jewish, we're celebrating Hanukkah, and you put it to the Christmas tree, what do we need that for? And he told Rabbi Bogomilsky, he said, I took that Christmas tree and I threw it right in the garbage. I'm not, please, anyone who's listening to me who's Christian, please, I'm not offending you. I'm not. But I'm just saying that, it was good for this Jewish man to recognize who he really was and to celebrate his own holiday. Please, I'm not offending anybody.
Yeah, it's more like this. It's just you're holding on to your Jewish identity and recognizing it for what it is. I personally have issues with the Hanukkah bush and things like that. Like, what are you doing? Hanukkah is not Jewish Christmas. I think people keep on forgetting about that. But I don't know. I feel like this year it's gotten a little bit out of hand. I've noticed with advertisements and things like that. It's gotten a little ridiculous.
What do you mean? Like I haven't seen any advertisements.
Well, no,
you're talking about the toy advertisements with the split screen.
No, I'm talking about. It was pulled, but there was this throw pillow that said what with a menorah. It said, "What makes this night different than all other nights?"
I heard about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Man, someone sure did not do their marketing research.
Yep.
I want to tell you an interesting story though that happened.
Okay, wait, you can tell me the story, but after that we got to sign off. We're a little bit over time.
When the last Hanukkah that your father was alive.
Yeah.
This Jamaican gentleman was his health care, I say giver.
Provider, giver.
Right. And so we were lighting the menorah and he was there. He was taking care of your father that night. And so I invited him to light the shamus.
Yeah.
And so he asked me what it was about. So I started to explain the Maccabees and the Greeks and everything. And he was surprised. He says, I worked for Jewish people before. He said, but no one ever told me what this was about. And he said, he assumed that we were like a type of Christianity. And this is how we were celebrating Christmas. He said he never knew that Judaism was a totally separate religion that had nothing to do with Christianity.
Yeah. That's the main thing. It's like, it's not Christianity. It has nothing to do with Christianity, and it's its own separate entity. And people, I guess they want to feel included. So they kind of, Jewish people might as well like start doing things for Christmas, things like that, because they feel they want to be part of society and whatnot. But it's just not something you're supposed to really be doing. It's not your identity, so to speak. It's a Christian identity, not a Jewish identity.
Well, I think like when I was growing up, I remember the reason we identified so much more with Christianity than with Judaism was because we were basically, we were not educated. And, it's as simple as that. I mean, we went to Hebrew school a couple times a week, but, you can't compare the few hours in Hebrew school to the 6 hours that you're spending every single day in the public school system in a totally basically a Christian environment, especially in those days during the 1950s and 60s. This was before the age of, what would you say it, cultural diversity. This was before there was that push for cultural diversity, and the culture and the atmosphere in the American public schools was basically white Christian.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Well, that is our show for the night. I love you, Emma.
Love you, honey.
I'll talk to you, God willing, soon, and have a wonderful, happy Hanukkah.
Okay, you too. For Hanukkah, darling. Love you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother episode. Please like and subscribe our Facebook group at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast, and check out our YouTube channel, Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I know you'd like it, and my mother would appreciate it too.